This is Venkman, a Magic format that lets you draft as you play. Essentially what it does is replace your draw step with a draft, and both players play out of a single deck. So I've shown you 5-color Venkman in the past. Now this is 3-color Venkman. It's pretty similar, but I think it has some aspects to it that make it play particularly well. So it starts the same way. We take the starting lands, in this case the Sultai colors, shuffle them up, deal 1 out to each player, and put the 3rd back in the deck. Probably should be shuffling this, but what we're doing is fine there. Now to draft, you have 2 options. First is to do this. Look at the top 3 cards of the library, put one of them into your hand, remove one of them from the game, and put the 3rd at the far side of what's going to be a line of cards here. So I'm adding them to the side closest to my opponent. My opponent's adding them to the side closest to me. The other option is to take half the cards rounded down that are closest to you from that line. So there's 3 cards in that line, counting the food token. So half of them, rounded down, is 1 card. So as the line grows, the number of cards you can take from it grows as well. So now there's 5 cards in the line, so I'd be taking 2. I'm not going to be doing that. So, and the food token is part of the line. If you end up taking the food token, it just goes into play under your control. So you'll see there's the die there. The opponent is changing. That is tracking the number, tracking the opening draft. So I'm on the draw. My opponent is on the play. So after I've drafted 5 times, my opponent will take the first turn. So I have an extra draft to compensate for being second. So any other extra draws that you have in Venkman, it's just off the top of the deck. So the draft only replaces your draw step on your turn. So you'll notice that there's some Surveil cards in this deck. So this more commonly comes up with Scry, but both work a little bit differently in Venkman. So you can use them the normal way, but that's actually, it's not super helpful. So what you can instead do is sort of treat the line as sort of the top of the deck. So if you're surveilling 1, you can replace the closest card to you in the line with a face-down card from the top of the deck. So my opponent's doing it right here. So he's putting the card into the graveyard. If it was Scry, you'd be putting it on the bottom of the deck. And so if you're surveilling 2, then you can put any of those 2 cards, 2, 1, or 0 of them into your graveyard. And then if you come back later and there's a face-down card, you can first look at it and then decide if you want to put it in the graveyard and replace it with a card off the top of the deck. So here I'm using Evolving Wilds. I'm just getting an island from outside the game because it's just quicker. Other deck searching works differently, but we will get to that when the time comes. So on this turn, I will be playing Rupture Spire. So you'll see I early on I got a Liliana, so that is sort of a plan here, is to get the mana I need for that, and hopefully some defense as well. And now this is certainly going to be a very good turn for me here, as my opponent had no turn 2 play, and his turn 3 play is just something that can die to Liliana, and then what he played on turn 1 is just Defender. So certainly a good turn here, being able to play Liliana and immediately kill my opponent's only threat. So my opponent going to the top of the deck and putting a swamp over on the line, which is not going to be too appealing to me because I have quite a few lands already. And he played a God Speaker card to... Oh, so this is a good set of cards here. So Elder Deep Fiend, Watcher in the Mist, and Yawgmoth's Will. I think Elder Deep Fiend's the most impactful one. I'm going to take that, and it can go well with Surveil Scavenger, I think. Of the other two, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy here, but I think Watcher in the Mist is a bigger threat to me. I mean, Yawgmoth's Will is a pretty slow card in this deck. So, the fact that the card you're putting in the line is basically your opponent's getting the first shot at it, first shot at taking it. So, you generally want to choose something that's the least dangerous is the aim. And, Yawgmoth's Will is certainly potentially very dangerous. But, I don't know, my opponent did not take it, so perhaps he agreed with me that it was not the most impactful one at that point. Alright, so now he's casting Muldrotha, which is pretty good. I don't have a direct response to that in my hand. Although, it's possible that I can set up an ambush with Elder Deep Fiend. I mean, the alternative is to, tap down his lands during his upkeep. But I think there's, I think we might be able to get him here. I mean, we have no other way at the moment of getting rid of it, and that's certainly something I want to do. So we'll shrink it down, so it makes it a 4/5. And Elder Deep Fiend's a 5/6, which is pretty perfect. And we've got the Surveil Scavenger to allow us to emerge out. The Elder Deep Fiend. And so let's see, the opponent's added Thunderous Snapper to our side of the line. So yeah, he's doing the attack, so it's going to work out, it seems, unless he's got a response. We'll find out. No response. Alright, so we're tapping down 4 of his lands there. But he's tapping them. He's sacrificing the Crystal Vein and playing Mystical Teachings. Okay, so this is deck searching. So rather than searching the entire deck, because it can be a lot of cards that you would be searching in that case, you just search the top 10 cards. And if there's no legal target in that 10, okay, and there is not in that 10, so he's showing it. So you reveal it, show that, and then just go on to the next 10 until you hit a legal target. And then you can choose from among those if there's more than one. So how much mana does he have? He has 6 mana, so he's got 2 left over. So Titanic Growth, okay. So he will be able to, but he will have to cast it now. So yeah, on Muldrotha. So here I have a choice between keeping Liliana or the Elder Deep Fiend. I think I will keep Liliana, and he'll take the hit from the God Speaker. I mean, because if I can't shrink down Muldrotha, then the Elder Deep Fiend's just not quite good enough, really. So I think that's the better one to have. And really just hope I hit a removal spell here. I suppose I'd be hoping I'd be hitting a removal spell in either way. So I'll certainly be going to the top of the deck looking for something. Death Rush. Okay, so Eye Blight's Ending is a good answer. Definitely what I needed. So what else will we do? So I have 4 mana other than that. So the Winnower, I can still do the Winnower after that. So that's good as well. Defense for Liliana, although it doesn't need it at the moment because I'll be able to use Liliana on the God Speaker. And by the way, so the equipment my opponent has there is Skeleton Key. Also not an issue at the moment. So this might be a spot where the opponent takes from the line, because that's pretty good what they'd be getting. But yeah, I think it's possible he just feels under too much pressure from the Liliana that he's looking for a response to that. So he's added Possessed Aven to my side, which is pretty good. So I'm well set up to take from the line here, since I've got tons of mana and I'm just looking for spells, so I would be certainly happy to take from there. Let's see, so he emerged Mockery of Nature and he killed my obelisk, and used Ruins of Oran Reef to put a +1/+1 counter on the Mockery, and played Blinding Drone, which he does have the mana to use. So yeah, I'm just going to take from the line here, get those spells. Play Wirewood Lodge and the Scarred Vine Breeder. And I'll play the Possessed even. And I guess I'll plus the Lilion on the Blinding Drone, since if he attacks with the Mockery of Nature, I'd block it with Winnower. And worst case scenario, if he taps, I can chump it with Scarred Vine Breeder. Is adding Forest to the line. Alright. So let's see what he's got here. Alright, so Selective Snare on my 2 elves, which is pretty good. Diabolic Edict, killing Avon. Alright, well I guess I should have minused on the Mockery there. So this is good for him. not so good for me, clearing my board like that. So yeah, let's get something good here. So Fetid Pools, Thumbscrews, and Bantus, Last Reckoning. Okay, so that is certainly great for us right here. A board wipe. It's not the greatest board wipe. It's got a little bit awkward tapping my mana down, but certainly I'll take what I can get here. It's still great either way. So we'll use it, and got the mana to play the Winnower, which I will do, although I'm going to be taking next turn off. And again, opponent's not taking from the line, which is, I don't know, it's a little surprising perhaps. Maybe he just needs a bit more mana. I don't know, it's possible. So now here I'm adding to the deck from outside the game. The actual deck is larger than what's on the table, so the bottom. So it is weird when you're sometimes interacting with the bottom of the library. Well, sometimes it's not actually on the table; it's elsewhere, like in this case. So let's see. So he played a Darkblade Agent and equipped it with a Skeleton Key. Not really an issue. And I took from the line because wasn't going to be doing anything. So I sort of take an opportunity to sort of cut down the potential benefit my opponent could get from taking the line himself. And I think I'm just going to keep on doing that. I think my opponent's ending up in a bit of a hole here. From I can just sort of overwhelm him with quantity of cards, and now sort of Yawgmoth's Will is sort of closer to me. So that's, especially with all my mana, that's going to be a great one if I can get that. So I'll play the Thunderous Snapper. And replay the Scarred Vine Breeder. Oh, and what my opponent played the Noose Constrictor earlier, which is a pretty good one. So especially in Venkman. I mean, it's not going to be so great for him because he's got one card in his hand at the moment. Just hasn't been taking as much from the line, so he doesn't have the sheer quantity of cards that you can end up with in Venkman if you want to. So I'm going to cycle Unburn here at the end of my turn, and as I said, this is a card draw outside of my turn, so it's just off the top of the deck. So as I said again, you get one draft on your turn. Your first draw on your turn is a draft. Everything else, including draws on your opponent's turn, are just off the top of the deck. So let's see. So I'm going to do Yawgmoth's Will here. So I've got so. Oh, wait a second. I could actually get it first there. But yeah, I'm good on mana here. I've got a lot of good targets in the graveyard as well. Liliana's certainly number one to get out. But there's also Eye Blight's Ending, which is great. Gonna be using that on Noose Constrictor, even though it's not actually the greatest for him at the moment. And then beyond that, I guess, so Sultai Scavenger, then if I've got enough cards in there, which it looks like I do. So yeah, take out Noose Constrictor, and then play Sultai Scavenger, exiling the other 5 cards in there. Let's see, yeah, 5 cards. +1 Liliana on the Darkblade Agent, and then get in for an attack. So, good turn. My opponent played an Eldrazi Temple. And a Tezzeret. Tezzeret, I don't think is going to be sufficient here. Yeah, I mean, not at all. So I'll be able to just kill the Thopter with Liliana, and then, yeah, I mean, I can just ignore him, and then his life total is going to be going down pretty rapidly. Here, so let's see, the only spell is Pale Rider of Trostad. I will take that. And then between the lands, I'm not sure that it matters which way I go in this one. So actually, Pale Rider works kind of nicely here. So I can play it, and then discard the Elvish Berserker, and then I'll have a card in the graveyard that I can use to exile to Scarred Vinebreeder if I want to. So kill the Thopter. Do an attack. As I said, I exile the Elvish Berserker. And again, in a great spot. So I mean, as you've seen, there are board wipes in here, but that is certainly what he would need here. But even then, I'm not even sure it'd be enough. I don't think it would be. I have Liliana still, and but we'll see what he's got. Let's see. So he zeroed Tezzeret. He's cycling. No, he's got it. All right. So we're going to go on to do the rest of this match, but first I wanted to say a little bit about building a Venkman deck. And I've got like a little bit of a recipe here you could use. This isn't exactly what this deck is, but you could do 20 spells of each color, which is 3 colors in this case, 4 multicolor spells, 5 colorless spells, 28 lands, plus the 3 starting lands gives you 100 total cards. And then so after you deal out the 2 lands and put 1 back in the deck, that gives you 29 lands out of 97 cards, or about like 30% lands, which is the important number. Everything else you can mess with. You can have more multicolor stuff, whatever. You do whatever you want, but the important thing is to have a good land ratio once you start actually drafting and playing. So this is game 2. My opponent is, I'm on the draw. Again, my opponent has chosen to be on the play. I do think being on the play is better than Venkman, which is why he chose to do that. I started with a forest. First card I picked up was a petrified plating. My opponent put down a evolving wild on the line there. That's I don't know. He must have had a good choice, because I think that's a pretty good card to be giving me access to early on. Out of that last set of cards, I just picked up a swamp to get more mana and mana fixing. And here I'm picking up more mana. Again, seems like I'm getting a lot of mana here, but mana's valuable in Venkman. Picking up, hitting all your land drops is certainly an important thing to do here. And here, Sunken Hollow would be a fine land to have, but I'm good on lands, so I'm able to take Stinger Fling Spider, which could be very good if you get to flyer. And actually, getting a card like that is kind of neat, because it gives me the opportunity to potentially put a flyer in the offer line and sort of tempt him into taking it, thinking that he's getting something decent, when actually I just be sort of setting him up for it and have the spider there to deal with it. Of these, so this is actually 3 quite good cards, I think. Nissa and the Llanowar Dead. Llanowar Dead's a good 2-drop, which, by the way, I really want a 2-drop for in order to play Petrified Plating, but fortunately I was able to get Blinding Drone, so I'm going to have a 2-drop, which is great. Let's see, so my opponent's got a Noose Constrictor. It's probably going to be better for him this game. This is a horrible set of cards right here. This happens, variance happens in Magic, and Venkman included. But we'll take the best of them, I guess, is Elvish Berserker, and give him the worst of them, which is Ruins Foreign Reef, I think. And he's adding Unburden. Certainly, obviously not blocking there. I cannot lose Blinding Drone. Unfortunately, he's not killing it. He's playing Gnarlroot Trapper and a Simic Growth Chamber. So, what can we get here? So, It of the Horrid Swarm. That's fine. It's not great, but I'll take it. It could be good with Nissa tokens to be putting counters on. So I will get in, and I'll play the God Speaker, which unfortunately is the It of the Horrid Swarm doesn't trigger. I can't get mana out of that. It seems like it should. It seems like it's a big creature, but not big enough. So my opponent's adding Scarred Vinebreeder to the line. It's alright. And yeah, playing Llanowar Dead. And a Kite Sail. Oh, okay, so alright, we're racing. Because that is dangerous, especially with Noose Constrictor. It's very dangerous. So fortunately I do have the Spider. In here, okay, so Tree Speaker, it'll help on mana. So yeah, I got a race here. So Spider's gonna be good for dealing with one of the things he equips, but long term, no, we're gonna be racing here. So I'll play the Tree Speaker. I've got the Evolving Wilds. So maybe we'll be able to do a Spider next turn, or maybe Nissa. Hard to say. So my opponent took from the line there. Got 4 cards out of it, which is terrible for me. I mean, he could even kill me. Like, yeah, it was not great. Close to killing me there. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna. We'll see. We'll see. So let's see. So Snapcaster Mage, Ren's Run Vanquisher, and the Shaman of the Pack. So actually, if we're going to be doing a race here, I think Shaman of the Pack might be able to do it. I already have 2 elves in play. So that's not bad. I could maybe pick up some more. There are a lot of elves in here. There's the Scarred Vinebreeder. They're the closest end of the line to me. I have the Elvish Berserker. That's another one in my hand. So, I'm casting Nissa, but he's casted Diabolic Edict in response. I guess I will lose the God Speaker. I mean, I think he's losing. I mean, maybe I'm supposed to sacrifice the Tree Speaker, but I think I need that mana. Like, I definitely need to be casting Spider next turn. Yeah, it's gotta race. Let's see, so Sultai Charm on Elvish Berserker. Attacking for 5, keeping the Trapper back. Did he have enough to kill me? So he could attack for 6. Maybe he was just short of being able to kill me. I don't know. It was close. I guess I'll assume that he was right about that. So let's see. So I guess I need Titanic Growth here. I mean, if I can get through, I mean, I'm sure the only reason he's left the Trapper untapped is as a blocker. So won't be getting through this time, but play the Spider, kill the Noose Constrictor. So that took off some pressure at least. +1 Nissa to get a plant out. Do an attack, and yeah, he's gonna block. Sweeping up Defend the Hearth there, which is actually could end up being a pretty relevant one. And using Snapcaster to flashback Sultai Charm on the Spider. So yeah, that ended up being pretty good for him. And I'll block with the plant. It's gonna be close. I get you. So Fierce Empath is an elf, so that gives me another damage out of Shaman of the Pack. I think it's the only impactful one here, really. Everything else is too slow, and I mean, the Phantasm is just not going to do anything, I don't think. I mean, it can block for him, unfortunately, but it's not good enough for me. So yeah, I'll play Fierce Empath, and look at the top 10 and see what the options are. No. Okay, so Emrakul. It's a bit much. But that's the only option. So, okay. So that's what we're getting. I don't even know. I'm a ways from that. Maybe I was able to level up the tree speaker all the way. I don't know. I'm not gonna have the time for that. At least not at the moment. So we'll do Shaman of the pack. It's 3 elves that I have. And then +1 Nissa. Get an attack, which is obviously he's going to block that. And then that is turn. He's doing the damage directly to me with the thumb screws, which is unfortunate. Yep, equipping Llanowar Dead and attacking for 3. So I'm going to need an answer to that this turn. And a Night Veil Sprite. Alright, he's got 2 mana up. So let's see what we can hit here. Definitely go to the top. 3 options here. 3 chances. Oh, and it's an elf. It's an elf. Doesn't work. But I don't have enough elves in my graveyard to gain enough life. Possessed Haven, I don't have the mana for that. So yeah, that's it. Because he's got the Defend the Hearth. Yeah, so he's got the mana for Defend the Hearth. So if I attack there, he's just have it. So that's it. That's game 2. All right, so we're 1-1. This is game 3. And I've got a swamp. I'm on the play, finally. Oh, he's putting Bantu's Last Reckoning up front. Okay. Of these, removal spell. Great removal spell. I can't turn it down. Llanowar Dead is certainly potentially very good, but if I don't hit the mana for that on turn 2, it's not as good as... Oh my god. He's just loading up the line with quality stuff here. Probably the best land in here. An Opulent Palace. Yeah, I'll certainly take that. Thumb screws. Let's see. Of these, Elder Defiant's a little bit far away. I'll just do a disinformation campaign. Maybe I can prioritize Surveil stuff now that I have that. Like in this case, so Deadly Visit certainly, it's nice and all, but Temple of the False God is like I possibly have the 2 best lands now in this deck with Opulent Palace and Temple of the False God. So that is what I will be taking. And he's putting Prey Upon in the line. Okay, so Watching the Mist, Yawgmoth's Will is another. This time I'm going to get rid of it and give him Ruins of Oran Reef and play Opulent Palace. So maybe I'll just talk about Venkman at the moment, and also in this deck and 3-color Venkman, because I do have some thoughts about this. So this deck in particular, we'll just say, so you may have noticed that there's themes here. So 3-color Venkman sort of lends itself particularly well to having, 3 themes, maybe 4, which is sort of a manageable number that, you can have 2 players to handle it. You can have stuff sort of come together more easily. So in this case, you've got black-green, which is elves, green-blue, which is emerge, sacrifice, Eldrazi ramp stuff, and blue-black, which is surveil. and sort of a little bit of sort of hand size stuff. And so, I mean, this deck's got a particular feel to it, and I think that's one of the cool things about 3-color, is that, depending, there's 5 combinations of 3 colors in Magic, and each one has its own particular feel to it. And, there's all sorts of different ways you can build each of those 5 colors. So there's just, endless variety that's available, which is, it's my favorite thing in Magic. And, it's one of my favorite things about Venkman as well, is that there's so many cards that can just go in here, so many different experiences. So I just think it works fantastically well, I think. And so one thing is actually, I think it's possible, I kind of think that 3-color actually works better than 5-color. So 5-color has... So, I mean, the point that 5-color has in its favor is that, Magic is 5 colors. So just, you're getting the full experience. You're playing all 5 colors. It just sort of just kind of makes sense. But beyond that, I think they're close. I think they both play very well, but I think 3 colors might actually just work a little bit better. I mean, a big thing is that the mana is much easier. With a 5-color deck, you need pretty good fixing, and it's more likely that a 3-color deck is gonna play well. I think if the mana isn't as quite as good as it needs to be, or rather, it doesn't need to be as good in 3-color, so it's easier target to hit. Yeah, so I think it just it works great. And as far as the variety thing as well, I mean, one of the things that I love about Magic and Venkman is that there's so many cards, and so I mean, one of the things, like the thing I prioritize the most is variety. I just want to be able to play as many cards and see all sorts of weird interactions come up and that kind of thing. And Venkman allows that because, I mean, as much as I love like booster draft and stuff like that, I mean, even there, if you have, some outliers on the bottom end, it's like, well, they're going to get drafted, but they're not going to get played with. They might never get played with, and I mean that's just, it's not as interesting, I think. Whereas in Venkman, it's like, okay, so you have some stuff on the lower end. Then like it can actually get drafted because it can go into the line. And so you're not necessarily taking it as a single card. I mean, sometimes things might work out that you do end up sort of drawing off the top of the deck, but most of the time, bad cards are going to be taken as a batch. You shouldn't be considering them as an isolated single unit. So when you have sort of worse cards in here, it really just means that the line is probably going to grow larger when people do take from it. Because if the power level is sort of flat, then you're just probably going to, as soon as you can take 2 cards from the line, it's like, we're going to do it. Like, getting 2 great cards, that's just always going to be a good option, which I think is less interesting. I mean, the more interesting I think is where you're like, so it's not quite clear when the right time is to take from that line. Is it like is 3 good? I mean, is 3 not so good cards then right? Is that enough? Is that good enough? Is 4 not so good? I mean, at some point there's going to be some number, because even like as you saw earlier, there's stuff like News Constrictor. So just even as a card, like even as just a blank piece of cardboard, they're going to have some value. So I don't know, it forces, and then once you have these sort of cards in your hand, like, I mean, you might not play them, but maybe you do. Suddenly they have a chance to sort of prove themselves, demonstrate themselves in some way, and they can. It forces players to be creative in figuring out, like, and solving situations, and especially because they've got sort of cards that they might not be normally playing with, but it forces you to sort of, be creative about solving problems with the tools at hand. It's like that. So I mean, the example that I would give is like there's that the scene from like Apollo 11 or Apollo 13, where like the NASA people sort of like dump a bunch of stuff out on the desk of the engineers. Are like, all right, here's the stuff that's gonna be available. Find a solution. And so it's like if they could choose whatever they wanted, it's like, oh, okay, well, it might not be any problem figuring out a solution, but it's like it becomes much more interesting and challenging when you've got certain restrictions on the tools available to you. So anyway, this game is my opponent has Molten Tail Masticore, which is far from being one of the low cards in Venkman. It might be, I don't know. It's very good. Repeatable creature kill is just very powerful. Might be one of the best cards in here. So as I said earlier, I got some of the best lands in Venkman with the Temple of False God and Opulent Palace, but my opponent is not lacking in quality cards himself. But he is running down cards in hand. He's only got 2 cards in hand, so I don't know. It's possible. I've got Disinformation Campaign, so I can potentially run him out of cards in hand. I've got 2 creature kill cards. Like I've got perhaps a hand that's set up to win this here, or to at least kill it. So let's see, what do I get here? So Unexplained Absence and Mockery of Nature. So, I mean, it's interesting. Like almost every card in my hand actually does kind of deal with the Masticore, but none of them really fully deals with it. But I should be able to. So we'll start off with the Disinformation Campaign. And now Slow Motion, another one that kind of deals with it. I'm going to combat. So he's going to respond to that before I can get the Surveil trigger, which would bounce the Disinformation Campaign to my hand. But I will Titanic Growth the Sprite in response. And then also Eyeblight's Ending the Masticore, which of course he will regenerate from that. But let's see. But in my hand, I've got a Forest and a Prey Upon, which I can use to fight the Night Vale Sprite with the Masticore. So it looks like I have. Well, we'll see if he got a response. Yep. All right, that worked. So it took some resources, took some creativity, and but it was a problem that was dealt with, at least at the moment. So now things aren't that bad, really. I mean, he's got a 2/3 plant, whatever. I am at 7/5 now, so that's also not great. But well, we'll see. Let's go to the top of the deck. I get his last 2 cards. I'm already going to be getting his cards with Disinformation Campaign. I think Unburn is a little bit redundant here. So we'll start with the Disinformation Campaign. I'll pick up a Forest. Opponent's discarding, Sultai Charm, really? I mean, I guess he doesn't have the mana for it? I don't know. He doesn't have anything good to that he feels is worth killing. So I'll bounce the plant and surveil away the forest. Return the disinformation campaign to my hand. And we can replay it. Now he's got a response this time. Let's see. All right, Whisper Agent. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, something I'm going to have to... Well, I won't necessarily have to chump block, but probably. Although he does have the Cave of Temptation, so we'll have to see what he does with that. And he added Gilt Leaf Palace to the line, which is nothing I care about, but there's 2 face-down cards there, so that's going to be pretty likely that I go there next time. Yeah, he's using on the plant, so yeah, jump block. Stonewood Invoker. Okay, so yeah, I am going to need some answers, because I've got the Capture Sphere, but I got expensive stuff here. So what do we got? Decimator of Provinces, Slippery Karst. So yeah, I guess we can cycle Slippery Karst, but yeah, we need some really cheap stuff here. Darkblade Agent. No, I've only got 7 mana here. It's not going to be good enough. Alright. Those are the games. That is the match. My opponent wins the match. Congrats to him. Alright, hope you enjoyed this. Give it a try. Message me if you've got any questions. See ya. Bye.